Well, hello, everybody. Welcome to the Quest for Truth. I'm your host, Karina Pataki, and I have with me my beautiful, incredible, amazing friend and producer, Karen. Karen, hey, hey.
Well, hey, it's good to be on the show again. We've been reeling them out, putting shows out. We're going to do more, and that's what we want to talk about today. So, before we start with the fabulous George Lewis, let's take it to some business. So, we got a show coming up with Leo's and Gami, the Illuminati Unveiled. We're excited about that. So, what do you have to say, Karina?
Well, it's so awesome because it's such a timely message that Leo is bringing. Um, with all the Epstein files that have come out, no, you don't hear the word conspiracy theorist going around anymore. At least I have not. So Leo is bringing such important information, uncovering the truth of these evil elite, what they've been doing for a very, 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 very long time. And so we're so excited to have him on with us. Looking forward to it. It's next week, I believe, right, Karen?
Yes, he will be on, and we're excited to have him. And man, Leo's going to bring the intel. It's going to be shocking.
Yes, we will.
So then, and after Leo, we got the Chronicles of the Super Soldier with Drago Reed coming in on the scene, and he's going to be red hot. It's going to be fire. So, guys, you got to get yourself subscribed to the channel and click the notifications so you don't miss these shows. So,
Yes,
Karina,
yes,
what you got to say
absolutely.
about Drago?
So, Drago is I've been kind of looking at his stuff for probably about 2 years, and some of the stuff he has that he's talking about is very, very remarkable. Very, very deep. So I encourage you guys, when you hop on to listen to join us with Drago, you're gonna have to kind of, if you want to hold everything loose, that's okay. But I believe that there's so much technology that is going to be revealed, technology that will blow our minds, technology and things that you've only seen in sci-fi movies. Well, my point is, where do you think they got that from? So I think it's remarkable. It's amazing. He's going to talk about some extraordinary things, and we're just really excited to have him on for the first time.
Yeah, we are. And it's going to be a great show. So remember, click, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss these shows. All right, we got the 2026 Disclosure Summit. And guess what? Our guest today is going to be one of the speakers. So get signed up today. Limited seating.
Yeah.
So it's important that you get signed up. And so we'll put a link up for you guys, and so you can look over the details. And we've got hotel, everything on there for you to just sign up. It's 10 minutes away from the airport. You fly in and you get right there. So we're excited about that. Karina, would you like to share on that?
Yes, so you guys, it's because this is such a clearly a season and a time of disclosure, which is what we're going to be talking with George today on our show. I'm just so excited, and I feel so honored and blessed that I have the opportunity to connect with these remarkable people that carry such a powerful blueprint regarding disclosure, regarding the different topics that they each carry, different mandates of their blueprint, that they have wisdom, knowledge, discernment, and understanding to bring to whosoever chooses to engage. And I am so beyond thrilled and blessed that I was able to connect with them and actually bring them in the southeast. The eastern side of the United States needs a little bit of awakening, especially the southeast, because it's the Bible Belt. It's a lot of strongholds, it's a lot of systems that have kept us in bondage and control to those systems, not people, systems. So I'm really, really excited, you guys, that we're able to bring such an event to kind of help us awaken and break out of those systems that have become imprisonments. So I'm really, really, really excited of all the speakers that we're having. Elena Denan, like I said, Karen said, George Lewis, Tony Rodriguez, Marvin Atudore from Romania. A new one that I want to introduce to you guys is Jason Westerfield, of course, Kathy O'Brien. Oh my goodness, who else am I missing, Karen? And myself. And I think
Yeah, you always leave yourself out.
so. I'm
Hey,
excited, you guys. So sign up. It's only 400 seats. Once they're gone, and they have been going. So yeah, come and join us and let us awaken together. And then after that, have some fun together.
Yes, yes. So we look forward to getting you signed up, and we'll see you there. I'm stepping back out of the scene into my seat of the producer. So buckle up and have a great time, everyone.
Awesome. Well, you guys, as you hop on, thank you for hopping on. Please like and share. Like and share. It really helps. It helps with the algorithms. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel if the information we're bringing you is blessing you and encouraging you to walk your own quest for truth, and only truth shall set us free. So now, without further ado, before we bring in George, amazing George H. Lewis, who has become a dear friend, I want to give him a proper introduction. This incredible man, this incredible gift to humanity. So George is an artist, an author, an astrologer, a healer, a sound healer, an international speaker dedicated to raising the collective awareness and supporting the spiritual awakening. George studies astrology as a tool for understanding personal purpose, soul contracts, and broader cosmic patterns, combining traditional chart interpretation with intuitive multi-dimensional insight. And he did it for me, and it was incredible. So I can vouch for that. George leads workshops, which we will talk about, around the world, courses, retreats, and personal readings that integrate astrology, sound healing, and art to help individuals navigate life with clarity and empowerment. Through his writings, speaking engagements, and creative work, George explores themes of planetary cycles, consciousness, evolution, and the transformational shifts shaping humanity today. So with all that, oh my gosh, let's bring in the incredible George H. Lewis. George, welcome.
Karina, it's very nice to be back with you again. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's such a pleasure. Such a pleasure to have you. We always feel so blessed when you come, and people get so much information and knowledge from your wisdom. So thank you for joining us yet again.
Yeah, well, it's really lovely to be here. I mean, it's such an auspicious time. Yeah. Astrology is the cosmic clock, and
Yes.
and ultimately in our awakening process as a species, we have to get more familiar, to refamiliarize ourselves with how the control system, the control grid works. This is true for all of us.
Yes, yes. So, before we jump into this very, very important subject, I want to let you guys kind of know what the show will be about today. Today's conversation is going to be around cycles of power that we've seen, that we are now hearing about. Some of us knew about it for years. We're going to hear about the cycles of power, of justice, exposure, and accountability that has been written in the heavens and maybe amplified here for us to understand, see, and engage with. We will also look with George at this February and on. And we are going to ask whether the planetary movements reflect a shifting and a reckoning of the old systems of control, and whether the sky mirrors a turning point for justice on behalf of the innocent, on behalf especially of the children. And you guys, I want to include the animals, because atrocities are not only being done to children, they are being done and have been done to animals as well. So this discussion, we will see clarity, structure, and astrological mechanisms. What are they behind this? I believe is a very historic shift. So George, let's take it from here. What is happening in the cosmos right now relating to the Epstein files and everything that's being exposed?
Well, I mean, this year has been unprecedented, in February specifically. So literally February 17th, a few days ago, we had the solar eclipse at the last few degrees of Aquarius. A solar eclipse always closes out a chapter and starts a new one. And so that coinciding with this massively powerful conjunction Neptune conjunction in Aries. Many astrologers have been talking about this for many, many years now. But what makes it absolutely fascinating, yesterday and today, February 19th and 20th, Saturn, if you think of the myth, Saturn's really under the spotlight. And people like David Icke and many other awakened conspiracy theorists, people who everything's been proven to come true, pretty much everything so far. It's very interesting. As Saturn comes under the spotlight and you look at the myth of Saturn, you see at the end of the day, Saturn, or is Kronos in the Greek, he eats his babies. And it's out of fear of the prophecy and a fear of losing power that Saturn, who is the son of Uranus, and he castrates his father in the myth, is all there in the myth. So that foundational story explaining the rise of the Olympian gods really shows us how Saturn, Satan, the tyrannical, the control matrix has operated. And when you see this conjunction at the 0 point of Aries, Saturn and Neptune, that hasn't happened, Karina, for 6,000 years. Let that sink in to your entire audience. This conjunction hasn't happened at the 0 point of Aries. The 0 point of Aries is always the initiatory point. It's the beginning of the zodiac. We are going to remember again that the new year is in the spring. It is at the end of Pisces and the beginning of Aries. Okay? And we've all been manipulated. We should never be celebrating a new year in the dark depths of Saturn. You know, Saturn rules Capricorn and Aquarius in the ancient. And that's when we should be going inward. That's the whole point of the putting the lights inside the Christmas tree and the Christ message of going within, the meditative, the prayer, the toning, the tuning. In the beginning wasn't the word, if you look at the ancient Aramaic. In the beginning was the sound, the frequency. So, you know, I'm with my Christian friends here, but I'm also here to share people that we are here as a species to awaken to the real Christ story of the transformation is from within. It is the 33 vertebrae along the spine, bringing up that special serum that we produce. And then it can be activated into the pineal gland, which is the middle eye, which is where we have great insight and great prophetic ability. And
George, go back just really fast, because I want to kind of pause on that so our viewers can really understand and grasp this. Because for some, this may be new language.
Yes.
And for some not. But you said something that's so incredibly powerful, that this movement has not happened in 6,000 years. Can you please break it down, maybe more simple terms? What exactly is happening right now with Saturn that kind of shows judgment, justice coming with things that are connected to Saturnian worship, to the evil, malevolent energy behind Saturn?
Absolutely. I mean, you know, Saturn or Baphomet is being exposed. I mean, you only have to look at the halftime performance of the Super Bowl the other day. Just decode it. Look at the cryptic, symbolic energy exposed very much in our face. Bad Bunny, what does he do? He comes out all in white like the Messiah, and he says, follow the white rabbit. That's a code to not only Alice in Wonderland, but the Matrix. And then you see people dancing around Bad Bunny, and it's a 6-pointed Star of David. And you think of the black cube at the top of the structure. There is a square where there is a black cube, which is the black cube of Saturn. And that's the Kaaba. And that's what people dance around in Mecca, in Islam. And so there's much conspiracy. And I sit here in front of you all, this audience, and I do this on every podcast again. I don't sit here with the answers. Oh no, that's not freedom, because then I have to be on top of pyramid. No, I sit here as the puer aeternus, the eternal child, having 2 ears and 1 mouth, asking more questions, curious. I'm stepping in. I'm leaning. I'm asking why. And that's the activation and the creativity of the human spirit writ large. And that's part of the Christed message, because Christ came here to teach us freedom.
Yes. And
so at the end of the day, the Saturnian system within the old religions is being shown for that manipulation process. I mean, I find it very fascinating that the Gideon Bible, for example, was paid totally by the Rothschilds in the 20s and 30s to bring the Judaic language more into the Christian narrative, to distort it. Ask questions. We can uncover more of that as we start to journey. That's the age of Aquarius. We're in this together. We have to take deep breaths. We can't define ourselves. by our belief systems.
Mm-hmm.
When we define ourselves by our belief systems, that is a total limitation of the soul's expression on this divine planet of ours. So, I mean, we can talk so much about this, but, you know, the Saturnian Baphomet is being exposed. That's in the Super Bowl. And you see at the center of that Star of David anyway, the hidden levels of the Kabbalah, which is the tree of knowledge. And by the way, for me, the Kabbalah goes back to the ancient tree of knowledge, which is Atlantean, it way, way further than anything Abrahamic. And I think, you know, with the recent discoveries and it's going to be absolutely propelled into greater discoveries very soon of our real galactic history. And obviously, this is interesting because you're having me to speak at a galactic conference. And, you know, I'm not an official galactic contactee, although I have had now 3 physical non-terrestrial visitations in this life, and I share them when's appropriate. But I speak really as a human being. But my job is to remind people of the significance of the cosmic clock that we call astrology, because the power structures, it doesn't matter whether they're from the Vatican or the great churches of the southern United States, or whether they're from the King of England or great grand aristocratic families or Masonic lodges, they have always and continued to use astrology. My humble offering to we the people is, let us understand the language of astrology. So at least white, I don't want to trigger people by saying white magic, but at least then the black magic can be exposed, and light Christed languaging, understanding, freedom can be made in opposition to balance out the polarity.
Yes.
How can one disagree with that?
Yes, yes. And basically what you're saying, my beautiful audience, and as you hop on, please like and share. What you're saying basically is, because what was created or given to us by source, or at least this is how I'm reading into it, has been inverted. So if there's an inversion of it, now we need to look at it in its correct form and understand it, so that we can read the signs of the times in its correct voice, not a counterfeit voice, not an inversion. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's absolutely correct. We have to understand so much in our reality has been inverted. I mean, beyond, and we're all in this together. I mean, from understanding the Nephilim to understanding the giants. Yes, Gulliver's Travels was a documentary. It wasn't a fictitious book. To understand, I've just been traveling around parts of South America. I've seen the remains of vast giant trees. We're talking trees that look like vast rocks, because they're so many thousands of feet wide, thousands and thousands of feet wide. Our world, our realm is so much bigger, and certainly was. Even revision on understanding dinosaurs, understanding dragons. How peculiar that we have 12 signs in the Chinese zodiac, and one of them is fictitious, and all the 11 signs are real animals. That doesn't make sense. You know, I mean, and again, to me, there's an excitement because I sit here as a child asking questions. And what an amazing opportunity it is for us human beings at this stage, as we leave the age of Pisces and we enter the age of Aquarius, to be able to once again come out of the collective amnesia, which is the forgetfulness, and remember our divine inheritance. As Alex Collier says, we are divinely gifted human beings. And yes, the DNA has been manipulated. We're going to discover very soon why. The last post of Q, very significant, was about our DNA. Why was it put there? Ascension. And we have to, as Christians or other, we have to understand a bigger concept of the frequency of ascension as we journey through. It's much more about being softer on ourselves, knowing who we are, stepping into the frequency of authenticity. Because I know this is a segue into one of your passions, because you care so much, and I share that, is when we can be authentic, we can see through the wood and the trees, we can see truth, and things like satanic ritual on a mass scale and child trafficking can never happen on our planet again, because we are awake and we are authentic and we are engaged and we are creative. Now, of course, there's many reasons why that's been negated and put down: bad water, bad food, syntheticism, all the pollutions from the sky, deliberate. I mean, I have a lot of compassion, but at the same time, we have to fight, but we have to stand up and do our inner work. And that's where the prayer, the immanence is so important.
So good. Wow. George, does what we see, the movements in the planets and the language, of the cosmos, do we see that this is going to be a justice on a large scale, like a boom, or a slow, let's hide things, let's go back to sleep? Because
no, there's
you
no
know
hiding.
okay,
Astrologically, it's impossible. Saturn, let me just drill down a little bit more,
please.
just by sharing a few insights and dates. Isn't it interesting, at the end of 2019, when the pandemic was rolled out, Saturn was in a very powerful position astrologically. He was in his own rulership of Capricorn. He had Jupiter there, which he doesn't like to be in that sign, but he had Venus there and he had Pluto there. And at one point he had Mars there. It was very intense to roll out that vaccine and all that nonsense to destroy the world. Actually, it helped awaken us, but that's another point. The point is, we were marching at that point perceptually towards a new world order. That was 2019, early 2020. And now, isn't it interesting, 5-6 years later, you see a very different cosmology. You see Saturn at his weakest point, which is in Aries. He's being literally watered down, dissolved by Neptune. Go back to the myth. Neptune dissolves whatever it's water, whatever he touches. Saturn has nowhere to go. He's also burned off in Aries. Saturn is in his fall in Aries. In ancient astrology, Saturn hates to be in Aries. And at the 0 point of Aries with Neptune there, there's nowhere for him to go but to collapse. It's the death of the king, literally the death of the king. You only have to watch the British, the European royal families around the world, the CEOs. Doesn't really matter. It's done. It's part of the timeline shift. We can talk Project Looking Glass and the merging of timelines, which is connected to 2012. I mean, it is phenomenal. Let me say one other thing. Jupiter, the son of Kronos, who is the one who saved by Gaia, doesn't get swallowed by Saturn. Well, what happens, they put a stone into Saturn thinking it's Zeus or Jupiter. He basically destroys his father. And what are we looking at now? We've got Jupiter in his exaltation. And which country in the world has a very, very strong exalted Jupiter? Is the United States birth chart. When the United States was formed on July 4th, 1776, that was a very hallowed day. Let your listeners really sink in here. It is no accident, no chance involved here. It's pure prophecy that not only have the great benefics of Venus and Jupiter conjunct the sun on July 4th, 1776, but you have it conjoined our second star, which is Sirius A and B. That's very prophetic. And here we are again, Jupiter exalted in Cancer, overlooking the original birth chart of the United States. It's the great renewal. And this has been going on for a few years because of the Pluto cycle. It's not just now. But we are seeing, so the mainstream media will say whatever it wants. That's pure propaganda. But the prophecy is the prophecy. And Saturn hates prophecy. At the end of the day, the myth of Saturn, at the end of the day, he swallowed his children out of the fear of the prophecy and losing power. And so it's all there in the myth, which of course you can connect to the Nephilim if you want. And eventually we'll be able to go beyond the astrology, tap into the Akashic, tap into the ether like the ancient Tartarians did, and get those energies back. Because it's not all about astrology, but we have to understand the grid lines, the control system through which they have manipulated us. And the Matrix movie documentary is a really good way for Tom, Dick and Fanny to get to understand the reality.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So this is so exciting. That's why I keep moving, because I can barely stand it. So George, what the movement, what it's saying basically, that there's justice coming. It's not maybe, it's imminent. And what about, does it say anything about the protection of the innocent? Is there any prophecy? Go ahead.
Another thing, which is so wonderful for us to take a deep breath now and to sink in. Isn't it interesting that Donald Trump announces, okay, it's on Twitter and Truth, but he announces for the first time ever on the day that Saturn is at his weakest, the entry point, which is yesterday, February 19th. Saturn's at his weakest point for 6,000 years, today and yesterday. And that's the time that Donald J. Trump announces his plans to declassify government files on aliens, UFOs, UAPs, etc. And of course, it's after Barack Obama's saying that aliens are real, because this is where I am different from the wonderful David Icke, because I believe that we are in a controlled demolition. I believe whoever we see as Obama now is working in order to awaken humanity. That is my belief. And I'm not asking people to agree with me on this. Again, we must all have the independence of thought and freedom and
Yes,
belief.
yes.
It's so vital. It's so properly vital. But
Yeah.
for me, there's a fascinating deep faith in myself, in my being. And I get goosebumps as I sit here, which is confirmation that there is some beautiful galactic human hidden hand, call it white hat, helping humanity awaken to the absolute dystopian, communistic, tyrannical system that was imposed on us many centuries ago, but really it got expedited from the 1880s, 1890s, and certainly since 1913 with the introduction of the Third Federal Reserve after the sinking of the Titanic. The point is, the Epstein files is part of something much bigger. It's a slow process to awaken more people, because Tom, Dick, and Fanny, as I say rather sillily, but we need a bit of humor, cannot be given all the disclosure in one go. Even someone like myself would pop. And I've been at this now for well over a decade. Even someone like myself would pop if the massive amount of disclosure was suddenly dumped in front of it. Has to be trickle, and it can feel like a flood at times. And so for me, this is again how I see it, is the Epstein files, so much of it is about the children and the subjugation and enslavement, and also the manipulation of genes and all sorts of things. But it then goes off planet, and then it becomes a much bigger conversation about, if you like, non-terrestrial but also demonic entities, possessions, and all that, which your community know a lot about. So for me, this is the process, because of course it doesn't stop with Prince Andrew. Of course it doesn't stop with Epstein. These are still pawns in a much, much bigger game. And so, federal real secrets are going to start to come out, real understandings of our ontology. Who are we? And the manipulation of our psyche.
Yeah.
And even in Job used to live for 200 years. I mean, I don't know my Bible as well as your audience. I don't pretend. I'm not a biblical scholar. I grew up Christian, yes, but I'm not a biblical scholar. But those ancients, including Yoda, lived for hundreds and hundreds of years. We will do so again.
Yes,
And in our lifetime, we are going to jump almost like warp speed. I know that term has been used ad nauseam, but it's like a massively exciting time. So I say, take breaths in our community. It is happening. Massive more is to come. And astrologically, when Uranus, which is the planet of revelation and innovation and hard knocks and sudden new beginnings, goes into Gemini at the end of April, which is really where he likes to be, because it's fast, it's furious, it's quick, it's dynamic. We're in the year of the fire horse, to go to the Chinese language for a moment. It's all the same thing. We're going to be entering the Aries season after Pisces, which is just the next month. It's going to be a quickening. And that's where we have to do the breath work, the prayer, stay grounded, barefoot on the ground, get close to nature, drink proper water, no synthetic foods. But it's coming. And it's unstoppable.
Yeah, see, good. That's what I wanted to ask. Is it stoppable? Okay, it's unstoppable. Now, what you said, you feel like this is a controlled demolition. And I think you touched on it. So let me just make sure I understand, so I can make sure that the audience gets it. So when you say it's a slow reveal, it's not like justice is slow. It's because the horrific atrocities that have been done are so immense that we have to be given little bits at a time, so that we don't completely lose that as a society.
I'm going to share this with you, and I've never really sort of spoken about this in public before. I don't know why, but other people do. It's very clear to me in my soul that the whole dance with the Epstein files was really more aimed at the portion of society, of the public, which were more on the left, more liberal, more fixed in an old mindset. I mean, look, there's mindset manipulation across society, but in order for the left, forget the loony left for a moment, which is very fringe, really. In order for the liberal left, these good people who are just controlled through mainstream media, to wake up and want the release of the Epstein files because they think Trump and all his cronies are in it, it's had to appear like that for the last 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 longer months. And what we're going to see, and again, this is where I step into something prophetic, is, for me, Trump is a massively clean disruptor. For me, Trump hasn't got any dirt on him. Now, are there body doubles? Is there manipulation? Of course there is. Technology exists. I mean, I've already seen 2 or 3 different types of Trumps in the last 10 years, and of course 4 or 5 Bidens. You can't have 4 or 5 Bidens, which we all kind of know, and only one Trump.
Sure.
The point is, the archetype of Trump is the disruptor. The archetype is North Node conjunct Uranus conjunct the Sun, which means he is here to dismantle a very dark globalist system, and he's doing it very well. He cannot do it overnight. That system has been built up over 150 plus years. The fact we've got this far in 10 is quite remarkable. And so for me, the fire horse year, the astrology is going to support, in particular, mass awakening this year, because a lot of the left now are coming to realize we're going to collapse the political system. So you want really the prophecy? We're not going to have party political systems very, very soon. I would hazard a guess that this is the last election ever, and it may not even go through, because we have to collapse it, because there's rot on both sides. To quote the ancient Native American, whether it's an eagle or a condor, both left and right wing is utterly corrupted, and the bird can't take flight. And because the rhinos are as bad as the corrupt left. And of course, the focus is more on the left now, because Trump's used the vehicle of the Republican Party. In my view, he used it because he knew the backbone of this great nation are the men and women of faith. And even if there's manipulation within the Bible, which we can get into, ultimately, we support the humans of faith and the humans who actually understand or seek to understand the Christed energy, which is really the future for our civilization.
Yes, yes. Do you see in the movement and the voice of the stars, the planets, do you see protection for the innocent?
Yes.
Like rising like never before? And do you see unity of humanity? Because George, this is where I'm at. If at this moment, if we as humanity, if we cannot unite when we start learning of the atrocity done to the children, the innocent, if this does not unite us, then I honestly do not know what will. So again, my question to you is, do they speak of protection over the children and a mass awakening and a unity of humanity? It doesn't matter what you believe, what she believes, what he believes, what Tom, Dick, and Harry believes. It matters that we are all human species. We need to unite in love, in protection, in the knowledge of who we are, and stop being divided.
It's very true, but one of the great ways to do that is through doing one's own inner work, spiritual work, what Christ came to teach us when he rebuked the Pharisees and the doctrinal religiosity. And so the more we can stay with community and stay the observer. So, for example, I love listening to people who have difference of opinion, because that's how I learn. And when someone pays me a compliment, I'm being very genuine here. When someone from time to time pays me a compliment and says, George, you're quite wise. If that is the case, it's only because I incorporate very interesting other views into my view, into my perception. And so my perception is always evolving. My beliefs are not my soul, and that's freedom. And so when we can start working like that, because ultimately all human beings, forget the hybrids and the possessions, all clean human beings are very, very similar in this regard. They instinctively protect children. They instinctively protect women and the young and the vulnerable, and they nurture. The fight flight is the dog eats dog is a inversion of the real essence of mankind. And real mankind is deeply empathic and deeply soulful, but we have to reconnect to cosmos and psyche. We have to really start to realize the manipulation on all sides, whether it's atheism and the nihilism of atheism on the one hand, or the religiosity and the doctrinal merging of Saturn with the inversion. Because at the end of the day, when you look at early Christianity and you go to the Apocrypha of the Coptics, and really the early Christianity before even Rome didn't convert to Christianity until the 4th, 5th century. And obviously we have the Constantinople earlier, but that was still some time after the Coptics. And you have all these hidden, what's called the Apocrypha, hidden books of especially Enoch,
Yes.
and Jubilee, the book of Jubilee. There's so
Yes.
much
Yes.
in there which we have to get familiar with again. And we realize so much is taken out, and the words have been manipulated from the King James Version, which is where so much information comes from. It's just that sense of it's okay, but we have all been manipulated. And when we realize that, we can come together, because the children are the
Yes.
alpha and the omega. Without the children, there's no civilization.
Yes. 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 So you see that. You
I
see.
do. And
You
Saturn, because Saturn eats his babies in the myth, and Saturn's at the weakest. Just look at the symbology.
Yeah.
Because Saturn has no ability now to control. And so it's like right on cue. Trump makes that announcement when Saturn's at his weakest part for 6,000 years. That's the first time a president says that. And then he's already been queued up by, I believe, getting Obama to say that, because, of course, Obama broke presidential, whatever the term is.
Yes.
I'm not so knowledgeable on some of the
Yes.
language of politics.
Yes.
But he broke a protocol, and that's
Protocol.
in order to open this up, so we the people start asking questions. And here's the thing about the real republic of our great nation, the United States: it was never about a control system. It was a rebuke and a rejection of the European power structure of class, and so we've got mission creeped over 100+ years into expecting a daddy to sort it out for us. No longer do we have a daddy. Trump does his job. It's not even about Trump, not about the savior. He's taking down the system. It's up to us, the people, to step into it. And we are supported. The cosmology overwhelmingly is supporting humans' rise in power, self-sovereignty, self-mastery, and co-creativity.
Yeah, that's so powerful, and it's so needed. And I love that. Now let me ask you, because I wrote here, when you were talking about Trump, I wrote here also Putin's name. So back when, the Ukraine war broke out and all of that, I was very bold to step out, as Karina normally does, to say, listen, Putin is not what the media says he is.
Okay. No.
And the war in Ukraine is not what we've been told. There's a reason, because that's the hub of some evil darkness that has been on this planet for a long time. So Putin is actually working for the light. So what do you see anything connected to Putin? Go ahead.
Huge. I mean, but I mean, my mentor happens to be, I always like to share this. My mentor is a Russian Ashkenazi Jew.
Love it.
And she has educated me profoundly on much of this. She was the one, the Russian Ashkenazi Jew, who put the protocols of the Elders of Zion on my table for me to read.
Yes.
She was the one who told me about Ukraine and the Khazarian mafia's heartland. She was the one who told me that real Nazism, not fascism, but real Nazism, the real control, which is a left-leaning communist conspiracy, stems from that area, not exclusively, but largely. And so we are seeing that. And this is wherever we come from, Jews have their heavy lifting, Christians have their heavy lifting, Muslims have their heavy lifting, the secular non-aligned have their heavy lifting. What about your soul? How are you journeying towards love, to creativity, authenticity, curiosity, and faith, which allows you to have strength and not be in fear? Saturn rules fear.
Yes.
So we have to observe that. So Ukraine has always been a flashpoint, the great inversion, and Putin's made many speeches about the Satanists of that realm and of the West, and the control, the hijacking of the great European and American systems by these entities. And we haven't got time, and that's not the point, to have a long history lesson. And there are many other great historians who know vast amounts about this, and I could cite many of them. The point is, we are going to see a lot of truth come out, and Ukraine is the enemy, but not Russia. Russia is not the enemy. Ukraine has some very dark things which have also been sorted out pretty much in my mind, whether it's the laboratories which are producing very dark pharmacological output, or whether it's the genetic manipulation of children and women, underground bases, in order to create other life forms which don't have certificates of birth. As a result, they can be exploited, and limbs and stuff can be sold, and slavery and all that. And we're all coming, we don't need to know a lot about it, but the great thing is most of us are realizing it's not a conspiracy, it's real, and we need to learn more about it if we want to go down that path. Some of us don't need to know all. I mean, I can't watch, for example, a video of, I just can't, and I don't need to, because I know it's real.
Yeah.
And I have to keep my life. And I'm a sensitive, like so many, like all of us humans.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. That's so true. All we need to know is it's darkness, and that we have a light. And no matter how small your light is, the moment you hit that pitch darkness, it will break that darkness. That's what I told people even this Wednesday when Karen and I had our lunch with, we call it a lunch with Karina and Karen. That's what I said. Your light is not going to shine in a room that's lightly lit. You take a little flashlight, you take a little candle, you can't see the difference. But when your light matters, and there's that Christian song, "This little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine." It's not small. It's a huge light. And the moment you take that and you take it in that darkness, no matter how dark it is, it's going to break it. So that, you guys, that's the reason we're talking about this stuff. Again, it's not, to glorify it. It's not to focus on it. It's not to create it. It's just to show that there is deep, thick darkness, but light can break that. No matter how small you think your light is, you're not small. You're powerful. You have a powerful creative light that can break any darkness, no matter how thick, no matter how deep, no matter how wide. So that's what I want to encourage you guys with. Now, George, back to Putin. So do you see anything connected from astrologically? Do you see anything connected with him and his role in this moment in time in our history? Like,
I mean, yes, I haven't got his chart to hand. I haven't prepared his chart and his current transits for you and your audience today, because you didn't ask me to.
Yes.
But there is no, and also I want to say this, and again, my Russian mentor put this onto my plate about 5 years ago, that the Putin of, say, 15, 20 years ago may be a very different entity to what we've seen in the last 10 years. And again, that's a question posit. That isn't a definitive statement, because I am, George, a human being. I'm not in the secret space program. I'm not working for official white hat intelligence. I'm putting things together as a human being in this body at this time. So let's be authentic here. Putin, to me, is, and the term white hat's problematic because it can mean a number of things. For me, Putin and Trump are the face of a much bigger system to revitalize humanity, to bring humanity back on course. And I don't know much about China. It's not my sphere of influence, but I looked at Xi Jinping's chart many years ago, and I remember seeing how his father was killed by the Communist Party of China. And Xi Jinping has a lot of Scorpio energy, which suggests a long-term strategy from within to take down something from within. So again, that's a supposition, that's a question. But certainly my soul says Putin and Trump, absolutely. Just look at the body language, even if at times they have to do a spat or a fight. Even like Elon Musk, Trump, they had to do a fight. This is moves and counter moves. This is the art of war. This is Machiavelli. To take down a Babylonian Khazarian system that's been extant for thousands of years isn't going to take 5 or 10 years. I mean, the Kennedy assassination was, well over 55, 60, 70 years ago now. And I think this has been, going on even since before then. I just think at this time now, and look at the sun, it's much whiter than it was when we were children. That's why they have to dim the skies. Consciousness is coming. So I say to you today, my humble offering is take a deep breath, stay in gratitude. You're here for this time. It's a quantum revolution. The last fire horse here was 1966. And look how awake we are this time around, because we have technology. This new moon in Aquarius is quantum leaps. The portal literally opens up today at sunrise on the 20th of February, 2026. The universe is preparing us for an absolute massive injection of consciousness. We're going to have that to support us. I don't believe that the Greys and the Dracos have the power that they used to. I don't see abductions like they used to. I see people really coming together. But it's messy, because we have to move out of the old belief system in every single area, and that takes a lot of strength.
George, how messy do you think it's going to get? Because I know the fire horse does speak of, in a way, of revolution, of quick action, of fire, of no, not this much, but action. how messy do you see things happening or
I
taking
don't,
place?
I don't, I don't see it being as messy. For example, in this country, the United States, as I see, say in Europe, and even in my homeland, because I'm an American citizen now, but I'm still a British. I still care very much about my country. But we've been at it since 2016, 2017. The Brits have been slow to the table, and they've got some massive things on their hands to deal with, and it's only now starting to go in the right direction of sort of standing up for the culture. Otherwise, there would be nothing left. I feel in the United States we're in a much more fortunate situation. I also do believe the quantum financial system, even if it's taken longer than we had thought, it is going to be coming online this year, especially once Uranus moves into Gemini. I mean, last year, Uranus moved into Gemini for about 3 or 4 months, and we saw XRP go up, 2 or 3 times, but it's dropped back down. Here's my prediction is after May, it has to start to go up with XLM because it is part of the new quantum financial system. And we've seen silver and gold similarly. But of course, the JP Morgans have manipulated because they still have power. Whether that's done deliberately, I don't know. But it's going to be messy, but it's not going to be a bloodbath. And astrologically, I'll tell you why. You see, the last time Uranus moved into Gemini was the Second World War. And the time before that was the Civil War. The time before that was the Revolutionary Wars. But what's the difference? Big difference. Those 3 other occasions, there were squares. There were hard squares in the cosmic clock. And that means challenges, bloodbath, conflict. This time, they're beautiful sextiles and trines. To people who don't know astrology, that is a blessing of harmonic energy, like the music of the spheres. Think of Pythagoras. There's something elegant happening. So behind the scenes, there's this hidden white hand. I use the word white hand in the sense of light. The white light in us all, because of course, when it comes to skin, no one is white or black. It's absurd. We're all shades of brown anyway. It's just nonsense. Or red in my case, if I've been in the sun.
Me too.
So
yeah.
I'm pretty positive.
Good. Now, George, you talked about quantum shifts, and I don't know much about astrology at all, but is there a timeline shifting happening quantumly? Is there anything right now that would say, be careful what you focus on, be careful what you speak, because there's a shift in timelines? Or talk about that. Quantum.
Yeah,
quantum.
I mean, I firstly, when it says be careful about what you speak, I'm gonna push up against the frequency of authenticity. They say is 50,000 times higher than the frequency of love. Now, whether it's 5 or 50,000, who cares? The point is, to truly love, Karina, to truly love, you have to be authentic.
Yes.
And as a result, let's take you and I, just on a simplistic level. In order to have a respect and like someone else, we have to be authentic. Otherwise, it's fake.
Yes.
And so with the Aries energy, now the ingress of Saturn, Neptune, Saturn is foundation, structure. It's in Aries, the new independent Aries energy of you being you, me being me, being able to be spiritual, whatever that means to you. By you being authentic, you start to glow. Literally, your aura gets polished. You get more visible, and not in an ego way, but in a way that you're shining. And every soul can do that. So the authenticity is numero uno when it comes to this at the moment. And when we can move out of fear again, a fear of, well, I might lose some friends. Oh, yes, I've lost a lot of friends. I mean, I don't normally talk about it. My daughter at the moment will not have anything to do with me because of the mind manipulation with her and her mother and the family and New York society. It is what it is. It's been very sad, but I have to accept that because I couldn't do it any other way. Otherwise, I would be deeply inauthentic. And she's young, so she has to figure that out herself. We've all got our own versions of that same story. Different, totally different expressions. We all know someone and the thing is, if you don't know anyone who you haven't had a disagreement with, then you're not being authentic. You can love them at a distance, for example, to quote Alex Collier. You have to move on, even if it's family. You've got the rule of thumb in this time of going into the age of Aquarius is really re-engaging with our authenticity. And so the planetary alignment at the moment with the Aries energy is certainly encouraging us to put new roots down of being sovereign, self-masterful, independent souls. And that's when we can cross the earth once more as beautiful souls incarnate, because we're not trying to appease someone or obey someone. And of course, we're not murdering or being selfish and other. We're just allowed to be you, allowed to be me, allowed to be we.
Yeah. Does that help, George, in our quantum shifting of timelines, or does that have anything to do
Yes,
with?
the planets support that 100%. Meaning, every outer planet within the last year has moved, which is incredible, into a new sign at the same time. We've never had this cosmic dance in the same way, where Pluto moved into Aquarius. Uranus, because of the retrograde cycle, is just about to move finally and fully into Gemini. Saturn, Neptune just moved into Aries. I mean, and Jupiter moves a little bit faster and will move into Leo this year in July, around July 4th. I mean, it's like beautiful clockwork dance. And that suggests, and they all make trines, as I said earlier, they make beautiful harmonic, almost like a harmonic cymatic pattern, because what is cymatics is the visualization of sound through a pattern. And that's what the great cathedrals had with those rose windows. I mean, a cathedral actually it derives from the word cathode, which is an electrical portal through which we can make free energy and connect to the ether, connect to truth, connect to God. You know, not just prayers, places of worship, but places of frequency.
Yeah.
So the answer is yes. The cosmology does show the beautiful, I wouldn't even call it the hidden hand, but I'd call it the beautiful hand of God, the hand of love, of consciousness, to guide us towards stepping into our own power, because that's what Christ came here to teach us. He tried to show us a way of being free. He didn't want to keep us in a doctrine. He was rebuking the doctrinal, Pharisaic control, Saturn structure. He was showing us more of a Uranian, optimistic, open, freer way of being without a middleman. We didn't need a priest or a Pharisee to tell us what to do. And we've been mission creeped back into that over hundreds of years, and now we're exiting that. And the planetary alignments certainly support us in that movement towards consciousness.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. George, before I'm going to ask you to share with our beautiful audience what you do, because you're doing something new. You've added something new to your incredible work. But before we do that, if you can look at the entire year and share with our audience what we can expect. So it started with the bang. It started with unveiling of this hidden Saturnian shadow of being revealed and being judged and all of that. So take us here, please.
I mean, I think I'd be delighted to take you here. I mean, at the moment, with the Saturn Neptune entry point into Aries, this is the big ticket item now for the next few months. I mean, really is, because that conjunction will last certainly for the next 5, 6, 7 months, because they're outer planets. I mean, Neptune moves very slowly, and Saturn takes 28, 29 years to do a rotation. So what we're seeing is the total tearing down of structure, and new Saturn in Aries is new structure coming in. And because it's connected to Neptune, it's going to be more spiritual. And then also Jupiter's making a square to this, and that square is going to get more exact over the coming year, which is more beneficial. That tearing down and newness, if you like, is going to help humanity more and more. And as I said earlier, Pluto is making this beautiful sextile, which is literally 60 degrees to these two planets. And then it makes another trine to Uranus going into Gemini. So what that means is all this new ideas coming in when it comes to technology. There's a lot of positive technology that's actually going to support us. We've got so used to dark technology. That's why we're so cynical. And of course, we have to use Grok or Chat GPT in a very conscious way. But that's the journey. If a human being chooses not to be conscious, they're going to have to repeat cycles. And they may not, whether it's the Christian language of go to heaven, or whether it's a more of an ancient language of they're not going to hit the right frequency, they may have to repeat a karmic life lesson. Yeah. And of course, that language may not sit very well with a true traditional doctrinal Christian. But at the end of the day, what are we here for? We're here to learn and to grow, to love. And so I would encourage people to use this year as much as possible to get back into their creativity. into
Mhm.
and into their co-creativity. So the difference is creativity is what you create on your own to bring you out, to share your gifts, but also how can you co-create as, by in a sense of bi-directional, like you and I are doing now by having a dialogue, because humans really respond very well to the community. And that's
Mhm.
something that the lovely Saturn 666 loves to do, 6 feet apart, lots of masks
Yeah.
and lots of jibbity jabbities and all that nonsense in order to keep us out of community, because humans flourish in community. So my suggestion would be, get to your local community, get your feet on the ground, get gardening, get playing the piano, get salsa dancing, whatever it is, do some pottery, do some writing. What brings you joy? What allows you that spark of creativity? Because if you follow that, you're going to suddenly notice a very different trajectory in 10 weeks' time.
Beautiful. Now, on a collective, more scale regarding this year, what will we see happening towards the middle, the end of the year, as it pertains to everything that's being uncovered?
Yeah, I mean, Uranus, when Uranus goes into Gemini, which is late April 2026, so in a few months' time, I mean, we are going to see many, many new innovations start to really appear in the collective, whether that's 0 point energy or magneticism or different types of hover vehicles, different forms of transportation. I mean, it's already starting to come, but the highlight on technology, communication, learning, information flow is definitely going to be sped up. And that could even be people having special types of technology to help translate if they're going traveling. And so you'll never need to learn another language because it would be instantaneous. I mean, I do feel a lot of the technologies that are being programmed now are beginning to have very different frequencies from, say, the ones which were programmed 5-10 years ago,
Yeah.
which were made basically in a very inverted negative matrix way out of San Francisco or whatever by kind of very quite odd humans, and probably not fully human.
Yeah.
Where this is where I have deep faith, is that technology is here to support the biological human being. And again, if I can go a little galactic for a moment, because I do have memories of living in other realms, I'm just going to say in other realms. I've done past life regressions and I've flown through water like many of us have, and that could be above the firmament or over the ice wall or up there. I have much memory of the technology being so utterly supportive to the divine human or biological entity that was living on one or many of those planets. And I think we're going to have a return to that. We're going to have a return to remembering how technology can support us, as opposed to being so cynical, because we've been so let down in the collective psyche. That's why so many of us are so cynical. I understand it logically, but this is where we have to dream into the faith, because this is, from a planetary perspective, a time of massive change. It hasn't happened for thousands and thousands of years. This is where I have such supreme faith at the time we're at.
That's wonderful. And now, lastly, in the same subject, I mean, the same vein, basically, what do you see as far as justice, as far as continuing of the fall of the system, the Saturnian system, the dark ones? What do you see happening this year towards the middle and the end of the year regarding this particular systems falling?
The good news about the way the system is breaking down, and this is where we've forgotten, because we always were told to put our faith in a new leader and then give it over to him or her, and then we get on with our own lives. We're not engaged. The age of Aquarius at a high frequency is we're always calling out. So if Trump or his team do something that we don't like, our point is to step up and say we don't like that, and then they have to make a course correction. And I think that's what I believe. That's the hidden metaphor, the hidden hand behind this administration, is it is starting to encourage us subliminally and subconsciously. And there's so many young men and women out there of all different persuasions and whatever doing that by saying, no, we should be doing this. And that then feeds the energy into the exposure. I also personally believe that Trump's plan, the white hat plan, is for him to put some pretty unattractive characters front of center with him in order for them to be exposed and made visible for us to explore who they are. And to me, that's very exciting. And you see that a lot. I mean, I saw it the other day with Larry Silver Silverstein or whatever his name is, the man who used to own those Twin Towers. And there was Trump putting him front of center, saying, "Oh, you had a dermatological appointment just on that one day, didn't you? When you weren't in your building. Interesting. Lucky you. Your wife was very clever, wasn't she? Telling you not to be in that building that day." It gets all of us thinking. Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so I know some of this is hard, but it's allowing us to step into the driving seat. So 2026, Fire Horse year, is you and me and we stepping into the driving seat. So we eventually get our republic back, and it's high functioning as a result through technology that we can do the consciousness, we can do the creativity, we can do the gardening, we can start to really enjoy life and explore relationships in an untoxic way, in a way that we haven't been able to for so long. We have no collective memory of that, hence our cynicism. But this is a time for us to really step into our free will. And it's a moment of recalibration. I mean, it's a collective crossroad has emerged, and we're standing between the world that shaped us, that old Saturn system, which is in collapse, and it's prophetic. It's gone. And then asking us to step into that new potential for us as a Homo luminous, as opposed to the old Homo sapiens.
Right. Now, it's brilliant. Now, do you see, according to the astrology, what's happening? Do you see the massive arrests publicly that we've been hearing for many years? Do you see that happening based on what is happening, the voice of the cosmos?
Great. I love these questions because I always listen to my body first, but also my mind is very active.
Yes.
If there had been massive arrests, just even let's stick just to politics, forget Hollywood and other sectors. Let's just stick to politics. If there had been mass arrests 2 or 3 years ago, there would be probably only 10% of congressmen or senators left. They would have a collapse, number one. Number two, if there had been an arrest 2 or 3 years ago on that level, the judiciary was so corrupt by the appointments and the gravy train from all the previous administrations, which were part of the dark cabal, that there would never have been any finite justice. It has had to play out this way, and it's deeply frustrating for members of our community because it's taken longer. It is coming. Look, the fact that Prince Andrew's been arrested and there are many files that have been released, still many more to come. People have no idea how much more stuff is coming out. And it's mind-boggling about our hidden DNA, about who we are, our galactic inheritance, what's underground, what is the hidden bases, different civilizations beyond the ice wall. I'm not a flat earther, but I'm not a round earther. I mean, let's just talk ice wall. Let's talk firmament. Let's talk water. Let's talk Challenger 1986, the explosion, and all those people are still around. I mean, there's just so much to come out. And stay in the excitement, stay in the curious, but stay grounded at the same time. And none of us know, but be willing to take the information in, let it sit, listen to the body. The cleaner your body is, the more you can digest it and integrate it, and then reject what doesn't feel right or keep what does. This is the sovereignty. So I see 2026 as a massive awakening for our sovereignty. And ultimately, there'll be no political elections in the future. We will just have a system that governs because we are totally connected with the politics on a local, medium, top level. And there won't be ultimately a very small federal government. It may not even be called that. Certainly in about 5-10 years' time. It's coming, and it's coming quite fast considering we've been in this old system for so long.
Good. I'm happy to hear that. One last question, because my dear friend, she wanted me to ask this, and I asked you before we started, but I think other people may want to understand also, so I feel like I want to ask it publicly. You know, certain people that maybe have studied astrology or are studying, they're wondering, is this a system or a grid that's keeping us bound in it? And because I loved your answer. Or what is it? Is it somebody that has created this system just to keep us bound in it? Or is it something beyond that? And if it is a grid, who's in charge of it? And I loved your answer. So can you answer that question, please?
I mean, it is a grid, But we human beings, we mankind, must understand that grid in order to dissolve it as far as its negative manipulation. When J.P. Morgan 100 years ago said, oh, millionaires never use astrology, but billionaires always do, just let that sink in. Astrology has always been used by the black magicians, from John Dee, the great astrologer of Elizabeth I's court back in the 1580s and 1590s, destroying Spain using some pretty clever black magic. That's a whole other conversation, to the current times with Masonic lodges and the Vatican and all sorts of manipulation of using the energy of Mars, Venus, and Pluto and all the planetary archetypes in order to bring out their reality and in that sense their new world order. The more we can tune into understanding the cosmic magic, and remember, magic is the science of tomorrow.
Right. Yes.
The cosmic manipulations, we can start bringing the white light in to balance it out. We live in law of polarity, so let's not let the dark get away with it. Let's find balance by us being awake, conscious, understanding symbols, understanding how they use these different offerings. They can't manipulate it. So I would say the matrix has always been there, but we've allowed that manipulation, that negative matrix, to be heavy on us. Again, go to the documentary The Matrix. And you see it in other allegorical stories like the Alice in Wonderland, but also Philip Pullman's book, his Dark Materials, is brilliant.
Oh, yeah.
Whether he was conscious of it when he wrote it, I'm not sure. I've listened to his interviews. Anyway, the point is the matrix is there. As we ascend in consciousness, we will smash it, and ultimately we'll probably be able to then pierce the firmament and time travel more, because we're at a higher level of consciousness, because then we can co-create and connect with other light beings. And some of us who speak light language then can contact them. The few times I've been able to in my life have these literal physical connections with higher forms is because my frequency at that time was high enough for them to probably come down to say hello.
Yeah. Yes.
So I don't know whether that answers your question. The matrix is very real, but we have to understand it. And the astrology is a great way to understand the energetics. So whether you believe Mars is a planet or not is irrelevant. Mars is a frequency.
Yes.
Venus is a frequency. And when Venus is in Scorpio, her frequency is different from when she's in Taurus, because when she's in Scorpio, she's in her fall. And when she's in Taurus, she's at home. It's complex. You have to study that. But the point is, it's a harmonic frequency. And once you begin to understand the frequency of the planetary dance, the cosmic dance, you begin to see how our reality works. And my humble offering is, I want we the people. It's why I'm an American citizen. I'm not a European philosophically. Why? Because I believe that we're in this together, that all of us have the potential, the ability, and the right to learn these ancient, cosmic, esoteric languages.
Yeah. Yes. Beautiful. And last question, before I have you, please share with our audience the amazing things that you have added to your incredible list of things you do. So last question, just because I want to finish it with this point for our audience to hear it, because I want people to have hope of what's happening. So is Saturn going to be judged? You know what I'm saying? The system. It's not going, oh yeah, but now you snuck out.
No.
Is it
this is a people's revolution. This is a look, Aquarius is the age of the people. Yeah. It's no longer a queen with her handbag on top of the pyramid, or a man with stubby fingers sitting on top of his pyramid, or whatever it is. It's the age of, it's really the if you like, the Knights of the Round Table. It's circular. It's we all contribute. So what that means is Saturn, the old Saturnian system, is going to be, and is already being revealed for its dark control system. Yes. To what extent humanity is offered the videos and the proof of how dastardly and dark and demonic what has gone on, that is not for me to say, because I'm not sure any of us need or should see the extent to which, because it can really affect us. I mean, we've all heard stories, and I believe it, when certain policemen and other people have had to look through certain files, it's affected them psychologically in a way like PTSD or whatever they call it. It's deeply traumatic. You wouldn't wish that on anyone. It's coming. Nuremberg 2, if you want to call it that. It's definitely going to come. And I'll tell you why it's going to come. Because the people will demand it this time. And the people will get what they want for the first time, because this is the age of Aquarius. There is a real humbling of the elites. The elites will not rule in tomorrow like they have done yesterday.
Very good. Very, very, very good.
And
Thank you.
that's the prophecy at the end of the day. And that's the astrological esoteric prophecy for, quite frankly, the new Atlantis. Atlantis was always in the Americas. I mean, no one's been to the Great Grand Canyons. It's all hidden down there, the entry point of what they say the forgotten Egypt, ancient Egypt. The Atlantean technology is primarily in the Americas.
Wow, 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 wow. Would love to have you back so we can discuss that. Wow, wow. Okay, George, now share with our audience the amazing things that you have added to what you already are doing, because you shared with us and it's beautiful, it's brilliant, it's magnificent. So go ahead.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, I love offering my services. This is a new website I've redesigned, and it just gives you a bit more of an indication of what I'm offering, obviously from astrology, intuitive readings, but also I love working with sound. And I've, over the last 2 years, remembered and reconnected with the ancient technology of healing people in salt water. And we've had some great successes. I mean, it's very new for me, this sector. I've been working with sound for years, but I mean, I've been a chorister, a musician all my life. But this time, putting people in salt water, which mirrors the blood, we can unlock the spine using special sound frequencies like Tibetan Bhutanese bowls and crystal bowls around the head and around the body. Sound travels 10 times more effectively through water than it does through air. It's powerful stuff. So I'm offering these services to people, and they can come and have a day with me if they want, or I can come to them, as well as just doing a lot of this online. Especially the astrology is easy online. With the sound, I tend to prefer to do it in person, because Zoom, really, the algorithm doesn't support proper frequency transmission. But I think WhatsApp or Telegram or FaceTime audio is okay, but it's best to be done in person, the sound.
Yes,
and then of course I'm an artist as well. I've always been a painter, photographer. So it's all about creativity at the end of the day. In some ways, let it be an inspiration to everyone, because we all have to reconnect with our creativity. That is the alpha and the omega of the human experience. And if I wish anything for the world, it's why children, you see, they're so creative, because they're free, they're authentic. It's for us to reconnect with our childlike essence.
Yes.
And step into without fear. Who are you? What turns you on creatively? Get on and do it, because it will just magnify the people around you, and everyone else will be much happier as a consequence, because you'll be thriving.
Yeah, beautiful. George, what are you doing next? Where can people
I'm back home in the US after a spell. I've been studying the land of the condor. I've been down in the jungle in the Andes of South and Latin America for the last 2 months, and hosting a retreat in Mexico, which was wonderful. And now I'm back in the US for quite a while, which is my home, and traveling around. I'll be seeing you, of course, at your amazing conference later in the year. Just, I'm probably going to be looking for some lands quite soon, maybe in the Tennessee, North Carolina area, to build my first prototype wellness temple. That's the plan.
Wow. Okay, that's what I wanted you to.
And the other thing is, just to share, I have this massive intention. I've already saved some money to to have built a very large church bell. So anyone who wants to come in and support something like that, it will be available for the whole community to be gonged under a church bell. When I was a chorister at my boarding school at the age of 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, my first boarding school, very intense boys experience, but the choir was great. I would put the boys under the church bells without even knowing it. We were healing each other, and none of us were getting the winter flu, the sickness, because of the frequency. I'm going to do that on a much bigger scale for our community.
This is incredible. Wow, George. Wow. Thank you so much for being here with us, George. I so appreciate your wisdom, your knowledge, the gifting that you give to humanity. It's brilliant. I love it. You're kind, you're humble, you're full of love, and you're full of wisdom. And this is what we need. People like George that have the wisdom, people like us that have the wisdom, people like us globally that have the wisdom, just to remember that, to go within, to tap within those gifts, stop limiting ourselves, utilize those gifts, let that light shine that's in us. It's not small, it's a huge light. and unite together, and let's break this darkness that has covered the earth for way too long. So we thank you guys for being with us. Hope you enjoyed the show. Please don't forget to like and share and subscribe. Check George's website out and all the amazing events that he does. And hope to see you on October 16th and 17th at the Disclosure Summit in Nashville, Tennessee, where George will be one of the speakers, as we've said. I love you guys. Until next time, stay safe, stay strong, and remember who you are and operate out of that knowledge. Until next time, bye-bye.